Hey, good morning, traders. I'd be very careful this morning to the long side, in my opinion. We know there's massive gamma exposure in this yellow zone, okay, golden zone, okay, per se, and so there's a lot of reason to think that institutions are going to be manipulating prices, trying to subdue prices because of their gamma exposure risk. So, so be very mindful of that. We're at the top of our trending channel based off of Tuesday, okay, and we've come in. If you measure from Friday's close to the expected move of the week, we've came into the critical 38.2 as of this morning. Looked right above it, and couldn't hold above it so far this morning. So be very mindful of that as well. I looked above right for the London Open, and it's been selling off ever since the London Open below that 38.2. So that's a very important area on the expected move for the week. Now, ideally, the expected move actually is projecting. Uh, Last week they were projecting that we could be as far as 25,940. That'd be an all-time new high territory. So you have to always definitely keep that in the back of your mind. That would mean that we'd be in one hell of a positive gamma squeeze breakout at some point in time in today's session for that to happen. It doesn't look like that to me, okay? In fact, what I'm thinking more likely, this is the Friday's close. You see how we've overshot the downside of my channel every day this week, and the Friday close is right here. Uh, I think it is just it's quite possibly more likely that we actually back test the Friday close once again, and maybe even close down there to get a doji for the week. So be very mindful of that. I think it's well within the realm of possibilities. This move right here, depending on the time frame you got, you can classify that as a fair value gap that needs to be repaired. Okay, so we have a potential fair value gap that does need to repair, potentially needs to be repaired to the downside. So that's another thing to think about. Okay, so I would definitely keep that Friday close. It's well within the parameters of possibly coming back down and closing at Friday's close, or at least back testing it in today's session. So let's definitely keep that in the back of our mind as a possibility. Okay, and so there you go. That's the NQs. They've actually got to that 38.2 based off the expected move. Now, another one that has already gotten it was the Russell. If you do the expected move on that, we've actually gotten to in the overnight, we got to the 89.3% of the expected move for the week. Okay, so be very mindful of that. This right here is the expected move of the week. And we've been basing sideways ever since we got up into this lofty price area. This is a potential fair value gap, okay? And the beginning of your regression line actually lines right up with the tops right here, okay? And so coming back down, uh, possibly filling this fair value gap is a logical scenario, the logical potential scenarios. So definitely keep that in the back of your mind. Back testing this line down here, back testing these prior highs. This is a very valid scenario in today's session. Um, you know, I can't say that we're going to come all the way back down and go back to Friday's close, but actually coming back down and back testing these prior highs does make some sense to me. We'll see how it plays out. We're right here at the London Open, not really moving anywhere at all. It's just kind of going sideways, digesting. As when we get into this trend line so far this week, that has been a buy zone for the trend. It could very well be wanting to get to the 25.50. But like I said, the dealers really don't want prices going higher, and they really don't want it going above the 25.50. So the dealers really, they're doing their best to suppress price. So, you know, just doing a repair of this and then possibly rallying into the afternoon, that's a very, very valid scenario as well. So we'll see what happens on that one. Okay. Other things going on here. We'll go back over to the ESs. It's the kind of the laggard on the expected move for the week. Where'd it go? Where am I? Okay, yeah. We're at the 23.6 of the expected move of the week. So it's kind of lagging in that regard. And we did have a, so we definitely want to keep this in the back of our minds going forward here. Okay. Uh, Another thing, we did put a lot of time yesterday morning below the regression line. So the regression line actually starting below yesterday's anchored VWAP, and that's something we haven't really been seeing much of this week. So yesterday, we were really carving out a lower low, putting a lot of volume in down at that level. So that suggests that this area right here is really going to be uh, supported today. So if we come back down to the Friday close, given that little scenario there, it's likely to be highly supported at the Friday close if we were to come back down that far in today's session. Okay, guys, so be very mindful of that. Anytime you start seeing the regression lines dipping below or the anchored VWAP from the prior day, that gives you a little bit tell of support in this price zone down here by the around the Friday close. Okay, guys. So I'm not saying we're going to go down there. I'm just saying that, and we do have a potential fair value gap that would possibly possibly be repaired there. That would be at a higher price. These prior highs, a bounce off those prior highs and the channel low. But as we with the Nasdaq, you see how we've overshot the channel to the downside. We could very easily overshoot the channel to the downside again today and finally make Friday close into a solid, hard support. And that is something to think about here also, guys. We came up, but we didn't make the Friday close the hard support. We overshot the Friday close and found support. So definitely keep that in the back of your mind. That is a very uh, that they may just want to come down here and finally say, hey, going down to Friday's close, and then we're going to bounce, and make that into new hard support, weekly support. We don't have to do that, but I mean that is a theory we may want to think about in the back of our minds. Okay. Okay. Today is all about Netflix and their buying Time Warner Discovery. Um, wouldn't you know it? I tried yesterday. I was trying to trade Netflix off the golden fib to the upside, and thank God, I was trying to come off the golden flip fib here to the upside. Uh, I did not see the news until later, and once I finally did, I got out. I got out of around this area, or what am I don't know. I got out. I got out right around this area. There you go. And I took a little hit on that trade. I was trying to do a bounce off the golden fibs and missed the news yesterday, so I had a losing day yesterday. So heads up on that. Things happening this morning. It's pretty quiet in the markets here. Nvidia coming up to 185 again, potential rejection zone for Nvidia. Tesla up here in the nosebleed territory. Uh, this could fail at any time. You just never know. Uh, so be very careful on that one. I get a little worrisome whenever we get that far away from the anchored VWAPs. Okay. Uh, so we're right here into a resistance area. This has proven, see those wicks? This has been proven to be quite difficult in the past 2 hours. See here. Yeah. So we're right into this zone. We had a rejection here. Yeah, this is, yeah. So, yeah, I would say this right here is a major resistance, lower high resistance, which could very well fail today. So heads up on that. Major lower high resistance possibly right here. Sorry if you hear the cat in the background. We got a kitten and it just wants attention all the time. Yeah, so we came right up into that. Now we're rejecting. So heads up on that. It might back test again, and then I would still see even a back test of this is still a short other than a long until proven otherwise. So heads up on that. Oracle, uh, we're on the bearish side of the regression line. Keep an eye on that one. This thing here has really ran pretty good this week. I would think I'd be looking for the fade on that one. Amazon, yeah, we lost a major support here on Amazon. So heads up on that. It doesn't mean we can't come back up, but what you're looking for Amazon is coming down to a level and bouncing hard off of it. We did lose a major area here on Amazon, so that's more bearish than bullish. Crim, yeah, had earnings this week. Google, up a little bit today, having a nice little bounce here. We're above this area right here, so we are still above this area here. So I thought this was going to be a bullish trend here, and then we had that reflexive move yesterday that just wiped out those bulls. So now that warns me that, but that did it on a higher low. So this is actually looking a little bit more supportive, given that higher low right here. So if we get a back test back down here around the 318.40 area, 318.40 area, and see if we can turn this area into new support in today's session. That one might be something to look at for the upside. But for the most part, it looks like a lot of chop. So let's definitely keep this one on watch. So far, if I was on a bull, that would probably be the one I'd be watching the most. Apple. Uh, so they have a lot of gamma exposure at 285. They came down here and destroyed it. Now we're right down the bottom of the Gex cluster. So between the 280 and the 290, there's a lot of gamma exposure. So this is where the market makers, if they can, they want it below 280 this week. So that would mean a complete win for the market makers if they could get it back under 280 for the close. So heads up on that. Meta's just going sideways after the news yesterday. And Microsoft, yeah, Microsoft lost some critical support here. So be very mindful of that. It's more of a bearish chart than a bullish chart. Taiwan Semi still trying to break out here. I'm really watching this one. See if we can get some legs here. Right into these range highs. So this is actually a short until proven otherwise. So at this price point, this is a short rather than a long. So definitely, this is resistance. We have to see confirmation of higher prices on that one. Okay. That just gives you some of the quick things I'm looking at here. My bias is that the market makers might have an edge today to suppress prices back down to the Friday's close across the board. So that'd be my primary thesis this morning, to see if they can gain some traction to get us back down to Friday's close and set up for a better move next week. Make Friday's close into new solid support, because I don't think that is actually the case at the current point, that Friday's close has become solid support, and that'd be a really good thesis if they can play out today. Try to make that into new very important support. Okay, thanks a lot.